Hello, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Boardroom. I'm your host, Mel Schaefer. Now, Barksdale Resources Corp, a Vancouver-based exploration company, is focused on advancing base metal projects in North America, particularly in Arizona's Patagonia Mining District and Mexico's Sonora region. The company's flagship Sunnyside project has shown promising results, with the latest drilling uncovering high-grade copper, silver, zinc, and lead mineralization, further suggesting the potential for a major deposit at depth. Here to join us is Quinton Hennigh, a director of the company. Thanks for speaking with us today.
Thank you, Mel.
Now, Barksdale Resources has several active projects across North America. Could you start by providing a high-level overview of the company and its strategic focus in the mining sector?
Certainly. Look, we are a base metal explorer primarily. We're looking at basically world-class opportunity, and that is mainly in the Patagonia District in Arizona. Yeah, we have property in Sonora as well, but our focus is the Sunnyside project. As you said, it's a project that's world-renowned, like it's already known as a major mining district. The Taylor deposit, which is about 130 million tons, we'll call it, of high-grade base metal silver CRD mineralization, sits immediately adjacent to us to the east. That's being advanced to a mine by S32 as we speak. And we're right next door. We're basically chasing the continuation of this just amazing mineral camp.
So speaking of Sunnyside specifically, the latest drill results from there revealed high-grade mineralization. Can you elaborate on the significance of these findings and what they mean for the project?
Certainly. Look, it is a target that's fairly deep. We got to drill down to get to it, but it is what we call a manto. It's basically a blanket-like deposit. And it is the down dip extension of the Taylor deposit. So that Taylor deposit that I mentioned dips onto our ground, and we were testing that strata. Okay, so we drilled our hole. We started to see some very encouraging mineral signs, galena, chalcopyrite, high-grade lead and copper, and also turns out silver in this mineralization as well. And we saw these right before Christmas. It was around mid-December. We told the market that we were seeing good things. Shortly after that, the hole got stuck, unfortunately, as it was approaching more strata that we anticipated would be mineralized. But these results at least gave us a good idea that we're into a high-grade system.
So I was going to ask you about that hole, SUN24. According to the January 22nd news release, that hole was lost just shy of the target, as you said, but the results suggest proximity to a major hydrothermal system. How is the team planning to overcome this challenge and continue exploring the potential deposit?
Okay, I'm gonna pick that apart into two pieces. First of all, I want to explain what the nature of the mineralization is. Okay, so Taylor, which is a carbonate replacement deposit, is basically a large body of sulfides, mainly zinc and lead sulfides, that have replaced the carbonate host rocks. And that body dips onto our property, and this effectively was a test of that horizon. But what we've also learned more recently is that S32 is also pursuing another deposit, relatively new discovery on their side of the property, as well. It's called the Peak deposit. And the Peak deposit is a copper-rich deposit, okay, which is really interesting. That one comes from the south, from the south rather than from the east. But basically, these two styles of mineralization, Taylor and Peak, coalesce right where we're drilling. Okay, that's really interesting because we're seeing not only the high base metal silver, but we're seeing copper in this mineralization too. So we kind of looks like a hybrid of the two, which is really exciting. What does that mean? Well, it means that we think we're proximal to the magnetic source, the intrusion that probably generated this mineral system. We also think that it's somewhat below us, in the area that we were not able to test adequately in this drill program. We got a little taste of it as we got down in there, but we didn't get down through the lower strata, which is the carbonates that predominantly host these other known mineral deposits. Now, what are we going to do to follow up? Look, we've been working closely with Peter McGaw. Everybody that knows Peter McGaw knows he's a world-famous geologist. He has a very good understanding of CRD skarn systems like this. In fact, Peter we'll call it kind of the godfather of the CRD model. If you look at the images on the internet, like if you just type carbonate replacement deposits, you'll find images that are basically based on Peter's model. Okay, these are little schematic images that show an intrusion with skarn and then CRD deposits coming off of it. Everybody that's in the mining game knows Peter's the brains behind these types of deposits. And what's really interesting is he basically developed that particular model based around this district, this Sunnyside setting that we're in. Okay, so this is a very critical test for us. And Peter has been an advisor to us and given us some really good insight into what we need to do next. We have looked at the property. We have a plan of operations, which allows us to drill from different vantages across the property. And we've looked at the property and the target with this new data in hand, these high-grade intercepts. And we've come a step back to find more optimal positions that we might be able to test this. Okay, and some of those are somewhat down topography. In other words, they get us closer to the target, not right next to the target, but at least save us a few hundred meters, maybe 200, 300, 400 meters of drilling to get to target depth. And we are looking for new areas. We've identified one pad that we think, or one permitted pad that we think we could drill from that would be a very highly successful test of this target again. So we want to come back at it and give it another kick.
It's exciting and an exciting name for investors to hear about. Now, just switching over to Arizona's Patagonia district. It's known for its rich mineral belts. How does Barksdale work it into the broader regional mining activity? And are there any partnerships or community efforts that you might like to highlight?
Yeah, just to make sure everybody understands, Barksdale is earning in on this property. There's a private company called Regal that owns the underlying rights. We're earning in on that. And quite successfully, we've accomplished most of the goals to date, or I should say all of the goals to date, and we're going to complete that earn-in. As far as working with everybody else, all other stakeholders and other mining companies in the region, look, S32 is immediately adjacent to us. Okay, South 32 is the big gorilla in this story. They are building the Taylor deposit immediately to the east of us. And they've announced committing $2.1 billion to build this. Okay, this is a big deal. They've also they've got several accomplishments in terms of permitting and their ability to proceed worked out recently. So I think obviously that with a big mining company like that sitting right next door to you, there's an obvious partner there ultimately, but that's not our objective. We want to find the rest of Taylor, the rest of the Peak deposit. Hopefully we have the better part of it. Okay, we have the higher grade copper mineralization that we see at Peak, but also combined with the zinc, silver, lead mineralization that we see at Taylor. Now, other parties in the area, yes, there's a kind of a dispersed community throughout this area. We work closely with landholders. Always there's a bit of opposition to mining in general, but we have a very good relation. We have a dedicated staff in place in Arizona to work with the communities. And we've tried to demonstrate our ability to be a very good neighbor and been quite successful so far. We've really got their acceptance to allow us to drill and pursue this exploration program.
Can you tell investors what the next steps are for Barksdale Resources and what should investors keep an eye on into the coming months or even for the rest of this year?
Okay, the next steps are pretty much to pursue the next drilling. Okay, the tests that I talked about, where we step down on topography and then find a lower area where we're closer to the target depth, that is our chief objective. Okay, I think we've identified that place, and we are going to pursue building the pads and stuff. We do have to do some other work to get ready for that, but our pursuit is going to be very straight line. Get those holes drilled, and which helps us with the earn-in, but also helps confirm the whole model here, the whole thesis that we're onto a major extension. That's our pursuit this year. Very simple.
That's awesome. And that is what investors love to hear about, like the next upcoming drill program and then waiting for assays. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, Quinton.
Pleasure as always.